Today we focused on Element 1, providing clear learning goals and scales. This element is in lesson segments involving routine events, which is organized into two design questions. What will I do to establish and communicate learning goals, track student progress, and celebrate success? And what will I do to establish and maintain classroom rules and procedures? Establishing and communicating learning goals is the starting place. For learning to be effective, clear targets in terms of information and skills must be established. Because our collective goal is for our students to get there, we must be careful in defining the there for our students and for ourselves. In the following video clips, we'll see Mr. Diaz demonstrate the same lesson implementing Element 1 at various levels of the teacher performance scale. The learning goal in the lesson you're about to see is students will understand how geography and climate influence the lives of people in the Spanish-speaking world. This first clip is an example of not using on the performance scale. The strategy is called for, but not exhibited. Mr. Diaz is transitioning between activities and makes no reference to the learning goal.
Spain, like we already know, in the north part we have las montañas, and in el centro we have the zonas muy secas, and this is where Madrid is, it's very dry, and then here all the way at the bottom of Spain we have the subtropical zones. So now, let's just move on.
In this next clip, Mr. Diaz is implementing the strategy at a beginning level. The strategy is used incorrectly or with parts missing. He introduces a learning goal, but fails to include an accompanying scale.
North, we have la zona de montañas. This is where all the mountains area is. So here we know that the landscape is nice and plain, and the weather is also very mild, as people call it, which makes it very nice for tourism. Now guys, before we move on, let's take a look at the learning goal that we've been working with. We will understand how geography and climate influence the lives of people in the Spanish-speaking world, right? So now, just think about this for a second, and we're going to move on to the next.
Next, we see Mr. Diaz implementing the strategy at a developing level. He provides a clearly stated learning goal accompanied by a scale that describes levels of performance, but the majority of students are not monitored for the desired effect. All constructs in the element description are evidence, and teacher evidences may be more likely checked than student evidences.
Before we move on, guys, let's take a look at the learning goal that we've been working with, okay? We will understand how geography and climate influence the lives of people in the Spanish-speaking world, right? So now, do me a favor, take out the scale that we've been working with, and let's see where we are on this learning scale station. So I want you to think about where you are on the scale for a few seconds. Let's see. Daniel, where do you think you are on that scale right now?
I think I'm a 2.
Why?
Because I know some of the features but not all of them.
Okay, very good. So you think we're a little bit more studying, you probably move up, right?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Now guys, let's move on to the next activity.
In this next clip, Mr. Diaz is implementing the strategy at an applying level. He provides a clearly stated learning goal accompanied by a scale that describes levels of performance, and most importantly, is monitoring for evidence of the majority of students' understanding of the goal and level of performance. All constructs in the element description are evident, and he is monitoring the desired effect of the strategy for at least 50% of students.
Now, before we move on, let's take a look back at the learning goal that we've been working with, okay? We will understand how geography and climate affect and influence the lives of people in the Spanish-speaking world, okay? So, now, let's go back to the scale that we've been working with. So, let's just remember, if we are a 3, we can identify most of the climate and geographical features, and we're pretty confident we can take a test or we can have a really good conversation with this topic. Then if we're a 4, we can do all of those. We identify all of the climate features and geographical features that we've seen so far, and I'm super ready for an assessment. I can have a really good conversation. So now, what I want you to do with your partner, we don't have partners here, so Raquelita trabaja con Sean, Señor con Daniel, and the 3 of you guys work together, and the 3 of you guys in the back too. I want you to tell your partner where you are on this scale, okay? So take a look at this and share with your partner where you're on the scale, meaning what you're able to do at this point. Go ahead, guys. So what do you guys?
I think I'm
We are actually, Angelita, ustedes, where are you guys on the scale?
I think I'm at around a 3 because I understand most of it.
All right, guys. Now let's take a look over here. We're gonna move on to our next activity. Okay? We're all ready? Excellent.
In our final clip, we see Mr. Diaz implementing the strategy at the innovating level. He provides a clearly stated learning goal accompanied by a scale that describes levels of performance. And what's different between the applying and innovating level is that Mr. Diaz monitors all students for the desired effect. He adapts and creates new strategies for unique student needs and situations in order for the desired effect to be evident in all students.
In order to get to that level 4, I want you to go to the back of the learning scale that you have that I gave you, and based on the conversations that you had with your classmates, okay, write where you are on the scale, explain what you have learned so far, and write what you need to do to move up on that scale. Alright? Got it, guys. And then I'm going to collect this, I'm going to read it. Okay, when you're done, pass it out to the front. I'll take it. Now, guys, I'll take a look at this. I'll get back to you tomorrow. Now, let's move on to the next activity.